You're here because you want to learn how to self publish your children's picture book for profit with confidence. My name is Tyreek Abrams, and I am the Mama Entrepreneur. And on today's episode, I'm going to talk about the 7 things that you should be doing before you even write your manuscript. When I first started my self publishing journey, I looked up a lot of different checklists, and all of them had different steps. So one of them had like 7 steps, one of them had 10 steps, one of them even had like 20 steps. So there were a lot of different variations on the resources out there to help self published authors to publish their books. But there was one thing that they all had in common. The very first step always said, write your manuscript. So naturally, that's what I did. It wasn't until after I finished publishing that book that I realized how difficult the marketing and sales phase of the self publishing process actually is. I knew after that experience that I wanted the marketing and sales phase of any future books to be drastically different. I wanted to go into that phase knowing that I had a specific target audience, knowing that I would have sales to support the publishing of that book. And that's why when I started publishing my second picture book, I decided to take a new approach, see if there was something different out there that I could do to make that phase a whole lot better. And it worked. It gave me the confidence to know that even before I had written my manuscript, I knew that once the book was fully published, I was going to have sales and make a profit. Those are the steps that I follow now, even before I write my manuscript. And I want to share those steps with you so that as you get started on this journey, you're confident in your ability to make a profit. So let's get into it. 1, determine your budget. 2, make a plan. 3, know your target audience. 4, determine your book's concept. 5, start connecting with your target audience. 6, study books similar to the one you plan to write. 7, create a storyboard. Before we get into it, here's your reminder. If you find this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe so that every week when a new video comes out, you will be notified. 1, determine your budget. One of the biggest mistakes self-published authors make is beginning the self-publishing process without a budget. It is true that it's impossible to know exactly how much it's going to cost to self-publish your book without going through the entire process. But at least having a budget gives you an idea of that high-level amount that you're going to need when you're going into the process. Even with a budget, it is possible and realistic to go over that budget with unexpected expenses, which is why it's even more critical to make sure that you're building in unexpected expenses into your budget. A lot of self published authors find themselves in the middle of the self publishing process and unable to complete their project at the level that they wanted to because of a lack of resources that they didn't know they would need ahead of time. Making sure you have a budget in place before you get to that phase won't necessarily make the problem go away, but at least it will open your eyes to the issue. You'll be able to mitigate the problem before you get to that place. 2, make a plan. Once you've determined your budget, you're going to want to make a plan on how you plan on publishing your picture book. What is the timeline you're planning on working with? How do you plan to raise the money to meet your budget? What relationships do you need to start building even now to make sure that you're in a good position once your book is ready to go? There are so many things to consider, and no two books are going to have the exact same plan. The key here, though, is to make sure that you don't get stuck in the planning phase. So many first time entrepreneurs get stuck in that phase of planning paralysis where they plan and they plan and they plan until they find that 5 years have gone by and they never actually executed any part of their plan. As authors, we can sometimes find ourselves being a bit of perfectionists, but I believe Elsa said it best, let it go. Let it go, let it go. If you need help letting it go, consider enrolling in the Mama Entrepreneur Masterclass, where we'll work together to make a plan and then let it go. I'll drop the link for the class in the description for this video. 3, know your target audience. You should absolutely know your audience before you even start working on your manuscript. If you're writing a book targeted for children ages 3 to 8, but you're marketing it towards infants, you're going to have a serious problem. On the flip side, if you're writing a board book for infants and you're targeting primary school age children, you're going to have an even bigger problem. This is where knowing your target audience really comes into play. One of the tips that I like to consider when I'm writing my own children's books is that most children enjoy reading picture books about children that are their own age or a little bit older. Knowing who your target audience is and what they enjoy reading and learning about will really help to guide the writing of your manuscript before you even get there. 4. Determine your book's concept. Take the information you gathered from knowing your target audience and then determine what your book is actually going to be about. This can be as broad or as detailed as it needs to be. If you've already refined your book's concept, that's great. Write it down because you're going to need that for the next 3 steps. 5. Start connecting with your target audience. This step is definitely going to be a long term process, but it's super important to make sure that you start doing this sooner rather than later. Many authors start connecting with their target audience after their manuscript is written, and some even wait until after the book is published. Beginning to connect with your target audience now will not only help you to refine your book's concept, but it will also help guide the writing of your manuscript and many other important decisions to ensure that you're going to have customers when your book is ready for sales. 6. Study books similar to the one you plan to write. Do not skip this step. This step is going to take a bit of time, but is also going to keep you from reinventing the wheel. Go to your local library, go to your local bookstore, go to your local Barnes and Noble, and check out some of the picture books that have a concept similar to the one you're planning on writing. Ask yourself questions like, why do they work? Why did they get published? Why does your target audience like this book? And what about it will make them think that your book is the perfect complement? This step, again, is not only going to help you to refine your concept, but it's also very strategic. So make sure you do not skip this step. 7. Create a storyboard. The next thing you're going to want to do is to outline your concept and the way you plan on writing your manuscript. In this step, you're going to ask yourself questions like, how are you planning to start your book? How do you plan on introducing different characters? What happens first, in the middle, and at the end of the book? What's going to keep your readers engaged and entertained throughout the entirety of all 32 pages of your book? Storyboarding your book is going to help you make sure that all of the elements that are needed to tell a complete story are there before you even sit down to actually write the story out. And then finally, we get to the moment where you get to sit down and write your manuscript. Your manuscript is literally the foundation of your book. With all of the work that you put in on the front end with those first 7 steps, you should be in a great position to come in and knock this step out of the park. Make sure while you're going through the process of writing your manuscript, you're having fun and you're documenting the process for memory's sake. So that, my friends, are the 7 steps that I go through before I even write my children's book manuscript. Doing this helps me know that before I even write my manuscript, I'll be able to professionally publish my book with confidence and make a profit on the back end. If you found this video helpful, be sure to let me know in the comments. If you need help implementing these 7 steps, click the link in the comments or let me know what your questions are, and I'd be happy to answer.